Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Parents Panel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And I'm very excited to bring on two new Dreams Unlimited Travel agents this week to share their family dynamic and their stories with everybody, and maybe some tips and some tricks that they use when traveling with their families. So I'm going to start out with introducing our folks. We have Dreams Unlimited Travel agent Hannah Anderson.
Hello, hello.
Dreams Unlimited travel agent Emma Thompson,
Hi, everyone.
and our great producer and Dreams Unlimited travel employee, Craig Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, everybody home, for listening and watching. As we'd like to do, we want to make sure you guys get a chance to know our agents and hear a little bit about who they are and what their family's about. So we're going to start out by letting our folks introduce their families, talk about their family dynamic, kids, age of kids, that sort of thing. So we all get a chance to connect and know each other. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to put Hannah on the spot. Hannah, tell us about your family, kids, ages, that sort of thing.
That sounds good. Thank you, John. My name is Hannah Anderson, and I guess the reason for being on the show today is my son Owen. He is just under 2 years old, and we've been a Disney family most of my life. My family went to Disney World for the first time when I was 10 and just instantly fell in love, became that typical Disney fan, Disney nerd, whatever you want to call it. I'm a big fan of the Diz, so this is very cool for me to be a part of this team. I've utilized pretty much all the Diz's resources to help plan my family's vacations. And my husband and I got married in 2017. We actually got engaged out in Disneyland, honeymooned in Alani, and had the opportunity to move to the Orlando area. And, when you're a big Disney fan, that really feels like a dream come true. During that time frame, I worked for the Walt Disney Company for several years with Disney Cruise Line and some of the offices in Celebration. We, like I said, we have a son named Owen. He's 1.5 years old. And he's been going to the theme park since he was 2 months old. So pretty much as soon as he was vaccinated, we were at Magic Kingdom the next day. And I have to say, being a Disney fan, going to the parks as a Disney adult for so many years, now being able to take my son and see what he's excited about in the parks has completely reignited my love for Disney. I just see things in a completely different point of view now. And so we're typically in the parks, maybe every weekend, every other week. And we're just having a lot of fun seeing what he likes doing now. So meeting characters and splash pads. We love a splash pad. So it's just a little bit about us. Like I said, just really excited to be part of the team and having the opportunity to talk about Disney some more.
You are actually a fairly new agent to Dreams Unlimited Travel. How long ago did you start with us?
Yeah, so I am. I'm one of the newbies. So I started back in January and have had a really great experience getting to know clients. And like I said, just having the opportunity to talk about Disney all the time is really a dream come true.
Excellent. And you are local. You're local to Walt Disney World.
I am. So I'm part of the local crew. So I've, like I said, lived here since 2017 and we're pass holders and have pretty much visited all the parks with Owen now and stayed at the resorts. And it never gets old, not for us at least.
Where are you guys from originally?
So from Mississippi, you can probably tell I got a little Southern twang. That's where we moved from. Huge difference. Mississippi's definitely not as much going on as Orlando. So and we have family visit all the time. Our family they're all pretty much big Disney fans as well. So actually my family's in town right now. We'll be at Magic Kingdom tomorrow. So that's one of those things about living locally. You just kind of learn to get used to is there's, always family or friends in town. And so we try to make the most of it. But yeah, we've always got visitors. So come on down.
If you are hosting at your house, I must say they are remarkably quiet.
So
Are they
I
bored?
have, yeah, they are, and I have to say I'm very bold because I'm set up in a hallway in my house, so I could get the Disney good stuff in the background. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed for me, right?
Someone comes running through. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Hannah. Appreciate all that information. That's great stuff. So we're going to move on. We're going to do Emma next. Emma, tell us about yourself, about your family, about your kids, about what's going on. How many people in your house? Tell us.
All right. Well, I am Emma Thompson. I think, like Hannah, I also grew up in a Disney family. My mom went to Disney World for the first time with my grandparents in 1972, and they visited several times, when she was younger, and they were very excited to bring us when we were growing up. So we were a yearly family. We went every year for spring break, as long as I can remember. And I brought my husband on board in college, somewhat reluctantly, but now he loves it. We've been Disney World and Universal pass holders for 14 years now. But we do travel to get to the parks. We live in Nashville, Tennessee. I grew up in Washington, D.C., but have lived in Nashville for the last 13 years. And like Hannah, I was also married in 2017. Um, we were married in Washington, D.C., but we had our honeymoon in Europe and visited Disneyland Paris on our honeymoon, which was a lot of fun. And we now have two boys. Oliver is 2.5, and Hugo is almost 6 months old. And they have been in the park since I think Oliver was 4 months the first time we visited, the first time we drove down, and ever since then. So he's been to Disney World almost every other month since he was 4 months old, with the exception of a few months there when I was in my third trimester of pregnancy with his little brother Hugo. We've been out to Disneyland with them. Oliver's been on a Disney cruise, so we've been through it with a toddler and a baby. So yeah,
And you also are a newer agent with our company.
I am. Hannah and I trained together, so we both started in January.
Excellent. I love that. I'm going to move on to Craig, and we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. So, Craig, what do you have? 7 or 8 kids?
And no, still just the one.
Oh,
Yeah.
as I like
But
to say, you have a son.
I mean, that is something you like to say. I mean, yeah, I still have a son and I still have a wife, and it's that has not changed. I mean, we record these in advance, so it's quite possible that it does. But
Okay, you're going to
we'll
do
see.
something bad. Just don't jinx it, okay? Because we've had this happen in the past
No,
where we
it's
joked around about something and something bad happened. So don't
no,
joke around
nothing
about
bad's gonna happen. But no, it's that's our dynamic. Rory is now one, and we are dealing with a toddler who's starting to throw more temper tantrums throughout the day, and becoming more vocal and wanting to run around everywhere he goes, and it's
Mhm.
making life so much easier, especially when going to a theme park. So that's great.
So one of the things that I'm really happy about and really excited about is that the three of you all have children in about the same age group, what I would consider infants to toddlers. Um, I hope that's correct because I don't know what these terms mean. But
You got it.
but what I think is great is you guys can share with us sort of that perspective from this specific age group. In the past, you've had agents on who've had older kids and maybe a wider range, but the fact that you're specifically dealing with this age group really brings a certain dynamic to these discussions, and I'm really happy about that. Um, One of the things I like to ask my agents to do is before you come on for the first time, think about something, a story or an anecdote or something that sort of encapsulates your family dynamic and what it's like to travel to Disney World with your kids. So, Hannah, I'm going to put you on the spot first. You got something that would kind of give people an idea of, listen, this is what it's like for her and her family.
Yeah, so my story is actually going to kind of mirror Craig's story a little bit. We took Owen out to Disneyland at the same time as the Diz event back in August. And, going into the trip, it was kind of like, I take him to the parks all the time, but we're not getting on an airplane. We're not packing all the gear. Have to be honest, it's a little bit easier. So I kind of went into it, obviously very excited, but also kind of like, okay, this is where this is where you actually put these plans into action and do all the things that you talk to your clients about. And was very excited about it. We way overpacked, learned a lot throughout the way. And I have to say, the greatest part about that trip was, we did a lot of very cool things. We had a lot of memorable experiences, check things off my Disney bucket list. But what I remember most and probably will always remember is just seeing him so excited to watch the Magic Happens parade. And just seeing that pure joy that I just never seen him that excited and enthralled by something before. So that was very cool. And I think it just kind of went to show that, you can do all this planning, you can book all the dining reservations. But really those small moments at Disney, that's where the memories come from. That's where the magic's at. And, I have to tell you, Owen's almost 2, and not to throw any shade at him, but I think he's probably hitting terrible twos a little early. So we are fully in the tantrum phase. And right before that parade, he wanted to himself parade up and down Main Street. We had a complete wipeout, as one does at that age. And I remember thinking, oh no, my son just completely wiped out on the concrete in front of all these people. But then, like I said, he, every character that came by was just, seriously the best moment of his life. And of mine, really. So that was just kind of one of those cool perspective moments of, yeah, there's all this planning, all this preparation you can do. And then those are the really special moments, as a parent, as a family that, yeah, I will never forget his face during that parade. So that kind of just was like, yeah, I would pack up all the baby gear, fly across country anytime just to see him excited about that parade again. And the funny thing is about kids is they're just unpredictable. And so at least in Owen's case, I don't always quite know what's going to make him the most excited or what he's going to love most at Disney. And so when we got back, we watched the Magic Happens parade on YouTube over and over again, and hilarious. I'm pretty sure he's got the choreography completely down pat now, which is ironic because I have no coordination at all. But we took him to Magic Kingdom the next week, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. We're going to watch the parade. And, this can be we can just, we're a parade family now. He's going to love it. And, he was
It's not the same.
kind of lukewarm to Festival of Fantasy. And, so anyways, just kind of goes to show like or at least like I said, in our experience, I don't always know what's going to be that magical moment, but just, leaving that opportunity for that to happen, leaving time for them to, run up and down Main Street, wipe out, and then have a great time waving to Mickey. That was very cool for our family. So we still talk about it all the time. So
Yeah.
First of all, that parade is incredible. That
It
was
is.
one of the highlights of the last couple of times we've been out to Disneyland, is seeing that parade. So I can completely get it why he's excited about it. Craig, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that parade in particular, but there is something about it that must be addictive to people of all ages, whether it's the music, like, slowly brainwashing everyone or just the way Disneyland performers get into it. But we watched the parade, I think, 3 times while we were there, and Rory loved it every single time. And then we were so excited for him to see Boo to You during the Halloween party. And we're like, oh, it's going to be even better. The characters don't interact with the crowd at Walt Disney World like they do in Disneyland. And even like that parade, like he just didn't care about it. He was like, he would just look around at everything else around him. But like in Disneyland, he was fixed on every single thing. So I feel that pain. Like we haven't taken him to Festival of Fantasy yet because if he doesn't like that either, I'm gonna be like, we're gonna have to invest in moving to California so he can see the parades.
It's something about, first of all, there's the pacing of that parade. That parade is paced really well. There's no dull spots. There's no, oh my gosh, I'm waiting for the next thing to happen. There's always something going on. It's bright and colorful, and there's a ton of characters. There's like every character, even ones you don't expect to see, are out and about. So again, I think it's a great parade. It got my attention, so I can see why, a 1.5-year-old would be excited about it. I know I am.
He's a man of good taste.
Yeah, he really is. I love that. All right, I'm going to move on to Emma. Emma, what about you? You've got some sort of story you want to share that tells a little bit about your family and explains your dynamic and what it's like for you for visiting.
I do. So, it's funny. I think all three of us, Craig and Hannah and I, were all Disney people before we had children. And I think, we get a lot of questions about, why would you bring a toddler or a baby to Disney World? We were coming to Disney World before we had babies, right? So the choice was either stop coming or bring them. And so obviously we bring them. But it's fun to see how, as the kids get older, things change, their interests change, things that really stick with them change. Our last visit to Disney World before I had Hugo in May, Oliver was just all about Mickey. Everything was Mickey. We had to go to every meet and greet, every parade, every stage show. He just wanted to see Mickey. So when we went to Disneyland in August, we expected it to be the same thing. The airplane ride out there, it was, we're going to go see Mickey. And we get there and, take him on the first morning to a character breakfast, and Mickey comes out and we're so excited. And we're saying, oh, it's Mickey, look. And he's just kind of frowning at him and won't go anywhere near him. And it's just, nope, we're done with Mickey. And the thing that stuck out with him from the Disneyland trip was It's a Small World. And we rode It's a Small World probably 6 or 7 times while we were out in Disneyland, and it has just stuck with him ever since. Every single day he sings It's a Small World. He asks to watch it on the TV. At school, he lays down on his nap mat, and his teachers say that he just sings, which means screams, the It's a Small World lyrics until he falls asleep, which is often, making it harder for the other kids to fall asleep, but that's okay. So he's obsessed with It's a Small World. And when we took him just this past week for our, we do a Halloween Fort Wilderness trip every year, and we just got back, and we had been telling him for the last 2 months, we're going to It's a Small World, we're going on the boat ride. And we get on the boat ride at Disney World, and we're so excited. We're looking at him. It's a Small World. It's coming. And we get on there and we pull into the show building, and he looks at me and he goes, Disneyland? I want Disneyland. Play Disneyland. It's a Small World. So we get into the show building and he says, Disneyland? Mommy, play Disneyland? Play Disneyland. It's a Small World. And we had to explain to him that unfortunately it doesn't work that way. And, we can't watch the Disneyland version of It's a Small World, and they're different. So at 2.5, he knows the difference between each It's a Small World. We watch on YouTube that he requests It's a Small World Paris, which he calls the pink one because the building is more pink than the others. The Disneyland one he knows is the blue one. So it's always different, and we're always looking forward to what the next visit will bring, and what will really stick with him as he gets older.
So basically, I've ruined your children by having our agent education program in Disneyland this year. Everybody likes Disneyland. I'm curious about his reaction to Mickey. Do you think there was something different about this Mickey that made him not think it was the real Mickey? I mean,
It could have been. It was a different. I mean, he was wearing different clothes. Maybe it was jet lag. Who knows? I think toddlers are just so unpredictable. And our next visit, it could be all about Mickey again. Or, when we were visiting last week at Disney World, we went to see Mickey again. We tried again, and his question was, "Where's Minnie?" And he had never talked about Minnie before. So
it's like you're just never going to win. Nothing you do is good enough. It's not the right
nope.
Small World. It's not the right Mickey. Where's Minnie? That's a lot of pressure to be under. I want to go. I want to talk about something real quick that Hannah said, which is interesting, right? Because she's local to World, so that makes a different dynamic for traveling to the park. But Emma, you travel when you come to either park. Hannah, you mentioned you definitely overpacked. I think that's a really great sort of tip for folks in general. But for folks traveling with infants and toddlers, what are some of the things you tell them just don't bother bringing? What are the things that you feel you overpacked that was a waste? I'll start with Hannah.
Yeah, I know. I actually get this a lot from clients. They don't realize that Disney resorts provide either a rollaway crib or a pack and play. And they're, surprised when I say, no, don't, unless you have a specific one from home that your baby or toddler is partial to. I say, don't worry about packing the pack and play. That's a lot. Disney's got it. They will have one for you. Even families traveling with multiple kids are like, well, can I get two? And yes, you can get two pack and plays, two cribs, whatever you need. So that was definitely something. And then also, I would say for me at least, we overpacked clothes a little bit because, as you guys know, babies, toddlers, there's so many things there. You can spill food all over yourself, bottles spit up. Even Owen last week, one of the bubble wands at Disney World spilled it all over himself. So you think, oh, I've got to pack all these extra outfits. And we've just started doing laundry anytime we stay at Disney because sometimes it's just easier. If we run out of clothes, it's easier to do laundry than to just, pay for and pack an extra suitcase. So we also, I know Emma and I have definitely talked about this before, grocery delivery is king in my family now with even when we do staycations here, we often do that because then that way you don't feel this great need to pack everything under the sun in case they get sick or something happens. If you need it, you can just get it delivered to your hotel. So that's definitely helped us packing, even, just doing staycations.
That's excellent advice for folks. And Emma, having one child a little bit older, I'm sure you learned lessons in packing, between taking the first child and then having two together. What do you think is some of the stuff you want to advise folks not to worry about packing for their vacations?
So I think being able to do laundry is key. Even if you do bring enough clothes for them to wear something different every day, they're going to make messes that you don't want to wait until you're home to clean up. So you're going to be doing laundry. So not overpacking clothes, is definitely key. But also we rent baby gear when we visit. So like Hannah was saying, you can ask Disney for pack and plays, cribs at some resorts, and bed rails for toddlers. But we will rent things like strollers. We at home we usually use a wagon for the two kids, which wagons are not allowed in the Disney parks with a few exceptions. So we will rent a Disney approved double stroller. There's a few different baby rental services out there, but Baby Quip is a big one, and it's all over the country. And you can rent anything you're looking for. You can rent, bath toys, and you can rent high chairs or strollers, just anything that you might need to any resort. So we will rent, that kind of thing when we travel. It makes it a lot easier. We try to just bring through the airport kind of the minimum of what we'll actually need on the plane. And we also really try not to bring car seats when we travel. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but there's different types of transportation you can use to get around Walt Disney World without car seats. They're not required on the Mirror shuttle. So if you are flying in and taking the Mirror shuttle, you can get by without a car seat. And then once you're on property, they're not required. You can use minivans if you would like to have car seats. Each minivan comes with 2 car seats that can be rear facing or forward facing. But then you also wouldn't need one if you're riding Disney buses, the monorail, the Skyliner. So being able to avoid bringing bulky car seats through the airport is really helpful for us.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about that baby quip and the rentals. Will they deliver it to the hotel, or will they actually put it in your room? Do you have to meet them? How does that work?
So they will deliver to Bell Services, and then once you arrive, Bell Services will bring that up for you. But Baby Quip is actually local parents in whichever city that you are visiting, and you choose which family you'd like to rent from, and you can see a list of all the items that they have available for rent. So it's Baby Quip is the service, but you're renting from a provider that's an actual local family who has the items for rent.
So it's
Wow.
like Airbnb or Uber kind of for
Mhm.
baby gear.
I think it's a great thing to do, honestly, once your kids are kind of out of that stage, or maybe you're in between kids and they're not using that equipment at the time, and you can make a little money renting it to, people who are visiting your city, but it's all over the country, and I think it's in other countries as well.
Are you finding the stuff you get is good and in good shape, and or is it beat up and older?
No, it's in great shape, and you can read reviews of the items before you choose that provider, just like you would on Airbnb or Uber or anything. And Baby Quip also has a service where they will clean your baby gear, so everything has to be cleaned and sanitized between each visit.
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't know people did that. Craig, I know it's like I'm learning so much. Craig, what do you find for a day visit? Is that maybe you started to pack this stuff earlier when you're taking Rory to the parks, and now you think, oh, this is just why am I wasting my time here?
Uh,
Day visit to a
we
park.
we never really overpacked for day visits. It's luckily we kind of figured out his structure of like we know that we definitely need one extra outfit, so we'd always have one in a bag and then one in the car just in case, and a handful of diapers, extra diapers in the car as well too, just as a backup always. So we found ourselves in predicaments where we underpack, and we only bring like one pouch of food or one bottle, and all of a sudden he hits a hunger spell and we don't know what to do. So we've run into that problem with day trips, but not really overpacking, and maybe that makes us not the best when it comes to just being around the Orlando area. But yeah, that hasn't been the problem. But I will say with the Disneyland trip, overpacking was a massive problem. I wish I would have known about this baby quip, because our biggest thing was I we get freaked out about other stuff. Like we stayed a couple days before we were getting to Disneyland, so like we stayed in Pasadena, and we were staying at a Marriott branded hotel. So it was like, yeah, they have a pack and play available, but is it going to be clean? We brought our own sheets, but what's going to be the conditions? So we're like, maybe we just bring our own. We don't know what Disneyland's going to be like. We got our crib in Disneyland, and it was a metal crib with slots through it, and we're like, he loves putting his arms through and then getting stuck. So instantly we're like, no, that won't work, and had to switch over to a pack and play. So it was like little things like that made us think we wanted to just like either go out and buy our own or try to bring one with us. So that was an issue. And with our stroller, we still didn't find like a good one that we loved. So we
Mm-hmm.
brought our jogging stroller, and that was a disaster for the rental car, and it was a disaster for the room because it was so massive. But it just, we we didn't know what else to do besides that one, and we then had to bring the car seat on top of that too for the rental car as we were driving around everywhere. And that was awful because we didn't check that at the front. We waited till we could gate check it, just because everything I read was like, oh, they'll take better care of it
Yeah.
if you gate
Yeah,
check
they
it
do.
versus at the at baggage drop. And so like, I just hearing about baby quip, I'm like, I could have saved myself such a headache. And I will absolutely, we obviously have no monetary sponsorship with them or
No, we
anything,
don't.
but I'll be
I'm gonna
using them
call
in
them up.
January when I
Yeah.
go
As
out to
soon as we're done
California.
here, I'm gonna figure out how we can get some money out of this. No, but I think that's
Yeah.
an incredible piece of advice. What's funny is I love this conversation because what's funny is we have the locals, but the locals had to travel. So for you guys, Craig, I mean, you have your car and you probably have extra stuff in your car, and at any moment you can walk out to your car and get it, or where there's a local Walmart or Target or someplace where you can go and get something you need. But as you were traveling, you didn't realize, these were the sort of the intricacies of traveling. And but you were in tune enough to know that he would need an extra change of clothes and that he might have a hunger attack, which was what you learned from traveling with Rhino.
Mm.
Having him initially was sort of your preparation for having an infant. So
Yeah.
that all
There
worked out great.
I will say though, it doesn't always go to plan because like the one thing that we said
Mhm.
was okay, we'll pack enough diapers for like the first 2 days, and then once we get to California, we'll pick up diapers and then his food because we use refrigerated and freezer food for him versus some just like shelf stable ones, just because it's what he would prefer. And like I was doing searches for Targets and Whole
Mhm.
Foods and all those places and being like, okay, yeah, they're there and they sell them. But like I went to 3 different Targets in California before I could find the exact food that he actually liked eating. And so I wasted, a solid 2 hours driving around Anaheim in that greater area trying to look for that. And then,
Yeah.
diapers are easy. Diapers are just pretty standard. But yeah, that the food, that was an awful time trying to find it. So if there's particulars like that, uh, definitely do better research than I did, or do whatever you can to bring it yourself. Because
Mhm.
it's sometimes you look online ahead of time and like, yep, sure, there's a Target just a block down the road from me. It'll definitely have it. And then when it doesn't, that's gonna pose some extra problems.
Absolutely, I get it. This is great, guys. Thank you. This was very enlightening for me personally. Great stories, great anecdotes, and a great tip for folks traveling with infants and toddlers. So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to end it there. We're going to do another show for next week. So we hope you join in with us again and watch that show as well. What you want, if you want to work with either Hannah or Emma on a vacation, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise, whatever it is, you can reach out to them directly. They will have their email addresses up on the screen, and you can just send them an email and they'll be happy to work with you. But thank you guys very much for this conversation. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye, everyone.
And thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation with the kids.